Mm.
You're not required to actually attend school, and no one's gonna tell you
Yeah,
to.
no one's forcing you.
Yeah, and it really depends on you, on your commitment, on what you want to do, and like the people dropping out uni.
Mm.
There's people that have been successful with it because they've obviously had different visions
Mm.
and different hobbies, different passions. But there's also people that have been dropping out just because they've been stuck in this cycle in school, being taught or being told what to do.
Yeah.
Is yeah, it's something that people need to take into consideration.
Definitely. And like people, especially last year, I feel a lot of people in our year group weren't really, they were kind of stuck in the headspace of that they're just focusing on this year. Like they're not actually taking into account the implications of this year and how that affects them, say, next year and the year after. And they're not, this is from my own observations,
Yeah.
that people weren't really looking ahead at their own futures. They were kind of just following the next little thing,
Yeah.
going along with whatever's popular, let's say.
Really stuck in that
Yeah,
matrix.
yeah. I think being able to take yourself out of that position, which obviously I did for 2.5 years, and actually being able to spend time with myself and being able to look at different things and not just being stuck in this herd mentality of doing what everyone around me is doing. I feel like that's something very important.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you want to be around your friends, you want to do stuff with your friends,
Yeah.
but if you going to university is something that's going to affect you the rest of your life, and if you're going to university just because all your friends are, putting yourself in debt,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good position to be in. But just because your friends went, I don't think you need to.
Yeah. And that's something. Again, so many lessons I've been sharing here, but another thing is, uh, sort of that relates back to that is surrounding yourself with the right people.
Definitely.
Like, if people don't align with your goals, you should be sacrificing the fact that they're taking a different path,
Mm.
and you have different goals, different views on what you want to do. That there's always people that you have to leave behind
Yeah.
because they have different paths. So you shouldn't be following them just because they're your friends.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be led to a different path that you don't want to be in.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So next thing, um, I want to talk about is sort of, I guess, advice to teenagers nowadays, or advice to yourself back 5 years ago that you would give to yourself. Whether, I don't know, top three or whatever.
I think something that I've definitely learned the past few years is, as cliche as it sounds, don't worry about what other people are thinking about you. I think there was a quote that I heard which really changed everything for me regarding this, was that there's no point worrying about the way people are looking at you because they're worrying about themselves.
Yeah.
Like they don't give a fuck about the way you look, bro. They're too busy being insecure about the way they think they look. I think that's something that I definitely took into last year.
Yeah.
Coming back to school after 2 years, being back in that environment around people which, say, hurt me mentally in the past, let's say, and being able to actually put myself in that position with confidence in myself to not worry the way that I used to, let's say, about the way I looked, the way people thought about me, and just genuinely not giving a fuck about them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not there for them, I'm there for me.
Yeah.
I think that's something very important which gets not necessarily overlooked but ignored, I think. I think, yeah, I think people are too worried about how they look, about how other people perceive them, that they don't really get out of, especially school. Like you're there to learn.
Yeah.
It's not a fashion contest. It's not Like you're letting people take away your ability to learn in a learning environment by being obsessed within your head about how somebody perceives you. I think that's something that will harm you mentally, it will harm you intellectually, it will harm your schooling results.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely that helped me last year, being able to
Not care about it.
not care about it and just actually focus on what I'm there to do. And I think that's something very, very important. And I mean, clearly it showed, because I passed the year before everyone.
Man,
And I didn't even do shit.
bro, I'm not trying to like glaze or anything,
Yeah.
but I think you were definitely, if not the smartest person in our year level. You had insane amount of knowledge, and I've heard from my friends as well. I don't know if you, you would know about this, but like Tom and
Yeah.
Ryan and stuff like that,
Hmm.
they sometimes talk about you because in the middle of class they would sometimes do general knowledge quizzes and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and they talk about you and they would say that you would be insane with knowledge and knowing so much information that people just don't simply know about.
Mm.
And I think that advice is something I've definitely taken account of. Like doing this podcast,
Hmm.
not caring about what anyone's gonna say about it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the mental blocks that I've had with online business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's creating content, but like putting your face out there and not caring about what others think is is your first step
Mm.
to growing.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of confidence as well.
Mm.
Being able to be so, not even confident within yourself, but so at peace with yourself,
Yeah.
where you can just put yourself out there and not worry about how other people look at you.
Mm.
I think that's a real superpower, I feel.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all in the mind.
Mm.
Like being able to genuinely believe that you're, say, worthy of being in a position where you can have an online business, like you said.
Mm.
Being worthy of being the captain of the football team. Being able to just think that, I think that's the first step to actually being able to put yourself in a position to achieve it.
Mm.
I think that genuine belief within yourself that you belong,
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
Yeah. Um, Something that links to that is comparing yourself to others. Uh, Obviously, there's so many people on the internet, these teenagers that are entrepreneurs making millions.
Mm.
Like I've done it in the past, obviously, and it did not go great for me.
Mm.
Comparing myself, even in sports like basketball, as I see other people doing better than I do. I remember year 10. It was I'd grind basketball. I was
Mm.
day and night. I'd try my best to put 200 shots up after school every day, but not seeing that result.
Yeah.
And then comparing myself to others, seeing that they don't even train as hard as I do, but they they have better results than me.
Mm-hmm.
I think can instill that, um, or it can take you away from your goals or
Yeah.
your passions.
Definitely.
Uh,
And two things with that as well. First one, comparison is the thief of joy.
mm,
That's something that I meditated on that a lot last year.
mm,
Just just constantly thinking about that. That's why I think I was so mentally solid with not really worrying about people around me, how they look at me, how I look at them. I think that's something very important, especially in a space like sports, like the people online, especially
yeah,
being able to see this best version of somebody, which isn't actually them all the
yeah,
time. I think that's something that has definitely ruined a lot of people mentally in this generation. And fuck, I've already forgotten what the second one was now. Fuck.
take your
But
time.
yeah, comparison's the thief of joy, bro. You can't be comparing yourself at your lowest of lows to somebody's highest of highs.
Mm,
That's another one. I think it just doesn't end well, bro.
yeah,
It doesn't. And I mean, it's easier said than done as well, being able to just say, oh, just don't compare yourself to somebody. But I don't know, it takes a lot to,
Yeah. You know how I started my Instagram account and creating that business?
Yep.
I actually still had an insecurity of posting online. Seeing that I only posted pictures of things online that related to the quote I'd post on. Something that kind of stopped me from posting was thinking about what others would think about me, and then also not being able to see the results that I was expecting from other influencers. Like they would come up with things, come up with false beliefs that they make you think that you would become viral in a week or two, but it actually takes you more than just a week or two. It can take you a
takes
year,
a lot of time.
5 years or 10 years. Like if you've seen successful people, they've gone through dark past and they don't become millionaires in a day.
What's the quote? It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
10 years of work.
Yeah.
And I think this is my second point from earlier, is that all these lessons that you have learned from all of this, whether failed businesses, whether or primarily that, for an example, is that you'll learn a lot from that moving forward.
Yeah.
You'll learn a lot from your mistakes. And I think another thing is that people avoid making these mistakes when these mistakes are what actually going to help you grow later on. And you'll learn more from making mistakes than you will from running away from them, let's say.
Yeah.
And I think that's something definitely important. Whether or not you're going into the mindset of making a business, trying to make your first 6 figures, for example, I think that's the wrong mindset, especially for somebody young.
Yeah.
I think is, what can I learn from this? How can I put myself in a position where I can learn from this? And not being afraid of making mistakes, I think, is something very important.
Yeah. It's like if you look at Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, I think, or Bill Gates, they didn't chase money. They wanted to solve a problem. Like even Mark Zuckerberg, he created that business not for money, but he created it for something, a problem that he was facing, which was social awkwardness on Facebook. And I think that's one of the business lessons that I've learned, is to not create money, but actually focus on a problem that you can solve. Specifically, you can solve a problem that you've been facing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's one of the business lessons again I've learned. Successful people have the biggest failures, and like for example, Michael Jordan has made a lot of in-game shots, but he's missed 60-70% that people have forgotten about. So I think that's something that people should take into account of, especially people that are trying to start online business or even like improving themselves. It doesn't take a day or two. Like you
Definitely.
said, consistency. Consistency is more important than high volume for a day.
And that vision for the future, that what this consistency can actually create for you, I think is very important.
I think, final few topics I guess we can go into is, I don't know, is anything you really want to talk about or ask me about?
I think, actually, there's something I noticed last year, is that with this say self-improvement stuff, I've noticed, especially with myself, I've kind of been go, try and get as much done, learn as much as I can. And I feel like that's held me back long term. And I think something I noticed with you last year is that you were actually taking your time with it. You were calm, you were slow, You weren't worried about trying to get everything right now. And I think that's something that I definitely saw within you last year that I respected a lot. And I think that is what's going to help you grow a lot. And I feel like I want to get your side of that, I want to say, whether that's something you're actually doing consciously. Because, I mean, I saw it as like a really good thing. Because you weren't fussed about the people around you, about what they had, what they were doing. You were just focused on your journey, where you were headed, and you were taking your time and actually doing it properly, I would say. Like, not stressing it, but just, yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely some things that stopped me, like I said, the public appearance of others, of public opinions about me. But something that really got me going from posting those posts on Instagram is that I knew there was some people out there, even though they might have not even seen my content, is that there's someone out there like me who are struggling and currently experiencing what I've been through, and be able to teach them things that I've learned from. Like being simply just helping people that are currently going through things that I've been going through is something that can change someone's life.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing that um, a reason why I wanted to start that account was not just because of money or that content, is because I actually wanted to improve on myself and
Yeah.
my
It actually means something to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And something also our school that I've been focusing on is communication.
Yeah.
Obviously, I came from Philippines, moved here when I was 7. Communication and English was hard for me. Reading was not too bad for me, but speaking
Yeah.
and understanding people, and another interesting topic I've been learning about is psychology.
Yeah.
Being able to understand people, I think it was very key. Be able to understand the situations they're in, the mental blocks, and all things like that has helped me grow. Not re. I wouldn't say I was focusing on other people. It's mainly actually focusing on myself.
Yeah.
Like reminding myself of the lessons that I've learned. Because if you keep repeating the same mistakes, then you're not gonna be able to grow.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, any communication tips that you sort of have? Because obviously, I think you're a pretty good communicator, I'd say.
I'll take that.
I think you definitely obviously have that intellectual knowledge and all these things, but being able to communicate it to other people and just understanding people and being able to have this empathy within you.
I think with communication, something that I've focused on is less of actually talking and more of getting out of your own head.
Yeah.
I think because the more you're thinking about something, the more like what happened to me before. I completely forgot. I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about it too much. And I think being able to do that and actually being able to sit and actually listen and enjoy, be like last year, something Miss Wilson definitely helped me with was because the whole topic last year was like presence, and actually just being able to be present in the moment and not worry about misspeaking, saying the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and actually just being able to sit there and actually listen and respond. And I think that's something very important.
Yeah.
And with actually speaking, see, I've done it again just now.
I think with speaking, like I've noticed with myself as well, it's just taking breaks, like filler words, using filler words,
Yes.
removing, like having a new habit. Again, going back to atomic habits, it's having a new habit or a bad habit, replacing with a new habit, with a good habit. Uh, I just did that with but with removing filler words, just taking simple breaks,
And
making sure.
taking your time as well.
Yeah, because if you think about it, people that speak with filler words, it's quite boring
Yeah,
to
that's
talk
good. It's very
with.
difficult to.
Yeah, to understand.
Yeah. I think as well with because obviously they say that conversation is like 80% listening and 20% talking, or something along those lines. I think that's definitely, listening's a very important thing with it, because you're not having a conversation if you're just blabbering on the whole time. You're not actually taking into account what the other person's trying to say. And I feel that's something that I struggled with last year, because we did a lot of debate, say, in history and social studies. I feel that a lot of that got thrown out the window because everybody just wanted to put their own piece in. They weren't actually taking into account what the other person was saying, which kind of takes away the whole purpose of actually what we're trying to achieve here. And I think that's another thing that's very important, in my opinion. Actually being able to listen and consider what the other person is trying to put forward. I feel like that gets lost quite a lot, because everybody's in their own head saying that they already know everything. They're not actually, they're just here to make the other person look bad, for example, even. I feel that it defeats the whole purpose of actually trying to have a conversation. I think this is why I was fucking happy when you talked to me about doing this, is that actually just, regardless whether this turns out good or not, it's the fact that we actually had a conversation, we actually sat down and talked. And I feel like that's something that's very important. Whether for us later on in life, like looking back at this, we could look back at this and be able to see where we say went wrong, for example, in that conversation. Things that we maybe could have added, forgot to add, little things like that. Being able to fix that and change that for ourselves will help us so much more later on in life. And I feel that's why just literally just being able to sit down with an open mind and actually take into account what the other person's saying, even if you agree, being able to just listen and it's fucking important, bro.
Yeah, I think definitely having an open mind is very important to having a view of everything. Honestly, like the religion, having an open view of the things. Because if you're only biased to, I don't know, like your religion, Catholic, being, but not understanding other people's religion, it's like, what's why do you not want to understand other religions when?
Yeah, just because it's different to yours. Yeah.
Um, I think that unless you have any other things that you want to talk about, I think there was something else I want to talk about. I don't remember what it was. What was it there? Religion. Oh, final thing that I kind of want to talk about is sort of going back to health, things like that, and influences, is David Goggins. David Goggins is. I was just watching him just before with him training with Izzy.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah.
Uh, especially last year, PE studies, I did a 5K and tried to run under 20 minutes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. But training for that 5K was, it took me on a different path and understanding who I actually was. Like I remember I ran a 20K on that treadmill right there with, I don't know, it was pretty slow pace, like a 7.5 minute pace. And all of the thoughts that I had when I ran, there was these thoughts that I had, like giving up, things like that, made me understood how weak I was, but I also understood how much improvement I had to make in order for me to run that 5Ks and meet that goal. Even though I wasn't able to achieve the the 20-minute mark, I was still happy with myself because I knew if I didn't go through that training, I know I definitely wouldn't even have finished that 5Ks. And with the David Goggins workouts and the things that he talks about, it's sort of, I guess, sort of similar to what some of the things that Andrew Tate has said of really just getting in your own mind and actually um, having that thought and being getting over your mind.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what do you think
I
about?
think definitely Goggins is someone who I definitely look up to.
Yeah.
Like, it's less of the type of person, well, who he is, but more about what he was able to achieve, right? The fact that that's a massive beacon of motivation for me, right? I think going from someone who was overweight and who hated his life to someone
Yeah.
who transformed himself into a Navy SEAL
To be
who's now like 50, I don't know how old he is,
yeah,
50
I think
something,
it's 50, 51, something like that.
and still being able to run like marathons
Yeah,
at that age.
he looks like he's in
Yeah,
his 20s,
yeah.
right? But he's in his
He's an
50s.
absolute unit.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to conquer his own mind, that's something that I find incredibly motivational for myself.
Yeah, I think that's just proof to
Yeah.
people that how horrible your environment was. You could do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah. I think that's something that's a very important message. You know, you are actually capable of all these things, and allowing yourself to be trapped in a mindset where you don't think you are capable. I think Goggins is a perfect example, and it's even better that how famous he is. That so many people are actually seeing that message that he's putting forward. That it is actually possible if you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a very cliche message, but it's a very important one. I feel definitely. And like, it doesn't even have to be anything physical. It could be quite literally applied to anything.
You know, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Absolute unit he is, bro.
So just some quick things that I don't know, and some quick questions we're gonna talk about. Do you really watch UFC or nah? Really?
More now actually. I used to avoid it
Yep.
because I don't even know, bro. It's just I feel like I just avoided everything at a certain point in my life, and I feel like now I've kind of opened myself up back to it.
Yep.
I feel like I've been watching a lot of boxing. I'm a big fan of Dmitry Bivol, Russian light heavyweight.
Yeah.
I feel like I just like his style, bro. The way he moves, it's so nice to watch. And I think UFC, I haven't watched us. I've watched a lot more boxing than I have UFC. I do quite like UFC. I think me and Sam probably watched too much UFC in class last year. In both statistics and English, we were watching it quite frequently. I think more than I'd like to admit. But I feel like just fighting in general, like it's the same with the Goggins thing. Actually being able to see what these are people at the peak of their abilities, like what the human body is capable of achieving. And again, it's something that can be applied to a lot of things. It's not just going around punching each other in the face. Like being able to build your body up to that standard, being able to work your ass off, training your whole life to achieve something. I feel like that's a big message within the fighting industry that gets overlooked with the money side of it, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think focusing on your physical body is something you should actually focus on first,
Definitely.
instead of focusing on other things like sacrificing your health for some exam. I think people focus too much on things that are less important, say your business compared to your health. Like you won't be able to work on your business if you're
If your health isn't in a position where you can.
exactly.
I agree.
Um, yeah. So David Goggins, man, I read his book. Have you read his book?
I haven't read his book. No.
Yeah.
I will read it.
Yeah, it's something definitely extraordinary. His childhood and stuff like that, and what he gone through. So yeah, unless any other things.
I think we've done quite good.
Yeah. All right. So think. Wait, how long have we done? 1 hour 30 minutes.
That's not bad, bro.
It's not.
That's a pretty good chat.
It's pretty decent. 1 hour and 30 minutes. I think average podcast goes for an hour to 2 hours.
About an hour, yeah.
So yeah, I think we've done definitely pretty good. I guess the very final thing we can talk about is advice for your future self, I guess.
Ooh. I think for what I tell myself, my future self, is that do what makes you happy, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like that it's again it's very cliche, but it's something that I've definitely tried to do a lot more.
Mm.
Like you said, like not sacrificing myself for some random thing that doesn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah.
For like actually being able to go out and do something that I feel makes what I like to compare it to is, would my younger self be happy seeing my older self
Yeah.
in this line of work, for example?
Yeah.
Would my younger self be proud of that?
Mm.
I think that's something that I do quite a lot, and being able to make my younger inner child smile at the end of the day, I think that's something that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I think smiling in general, bro,
Yeah.
just be happy.
That's very good advice, honestly. But yeah, probably the advice I've taken from talk, this podcast is something you sort of actually taught me, and I've obviously taught myself. But is not caring about what other people think.
Yeah.
Honestly, like even now, I still struggle with it.
Mm.
Like even with this, the fact that I'm posting myself. No, if it's all good with you, if I post it on public, um, it's not caring about what other people think.
Mm.
I think that's stopped me from taking actions of the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like I've always wanted to do this podcast, man.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to hear what other people thought, what you had to say, and the value that you were able to share in this podcast is.
And I think with this as well, it's less of the response you get from it, but the fact that you actually sat down and did it.
Yeah.
Because let's say you do get a bit of hate on this,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's not the greatest thing in the world,
Yeah.
but we actually sat down, we took time out of day, and we actually had a conversation, and we actually put ourselves out there doing this. I mean, the people that would respond to it negatively are the same people who couldn't be fucked sitting down and doing it, or putting themselves out there. And I think for you especially, because this is obviously going on whatever your own platform,
Yeah. I think it's going on YouTube probably.
that's fine, bro. And I mean, don't get caught. And I know Joe Rogan's quite famous for saying this, is that he doesn't read comments.
Nah. Yeah.
Don't, because it hurts you at the end of the day, right? Seeing all this stuff, and it's all unnecessary. It's just a bunch of people who are unhappy with their own lives.
Unhappy, bro. I think that's one of the things I've learned from influencers is people commenting. Like, I think I've done it in the past as well, like commenting and hating, like on someone's post, but it's actually seeing where I was at.
Yeah,
I had no obligation to talk about this
yeah.
person. Um, so I think that's it.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanna leave it on a little quote.
Right? Yeah.
Is that with no matter how bad this was,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is your first podcast, yeah?
Yeah. It
The
is.
journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. Lao Tzu. I think just taking that first step, bro. I think this little podcast that we've done here for an hour and a half, I think will open so many doors mentally for you, for me even,
Yeah.
going forward. Then like why bother with what other people are saying?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're gonna learn from this. We're gonna grow from this, and we're gonna be able to apply that to our future to be able to do better in the future. And I think that's something that, I mean, nobody can take that away from us except us.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think with this podcast within my mind before that we've started, my goal was not views or the attention that I was gonna get from this.
Yeah.
It was actually just receiving value and actually growing from it.
Yeah.
It's not the results that you should be focusing on. It's the lessons that you take away from this video or this podcast that you were able to give me.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think that's us with the podcast. Portugal and Spain, but I don't even know what year that was.
It was a while ago, bro.
You still play football?
Every now and then. Every now and then.
Bro, I think I do need to get back into football though.
I think it's something that would make my little Isaac happy, bro. So I think it's something. I was actually thinking about that last night.
Yeah.
About actually going back to the sports that I used to enjoy and actually find some enjoyment in it. Because obviously all of that got taken away from me with injuries.
Yeah.
Quite quickly, and I never really got to send it off properly. Let's say.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming here. Honestly, I really appreciate you coming here, doing this podcast with me. Very first episode. Very special person. Yeah, I really appreciate your time coming here, and honestly, I try to value everyone's time as much as possible. I think everyone's time is very valuable. Something that is the most important currency that anyone has. The richest people is the time, because obviously you can't.
Time is limited.
Yeah, time is limited and can't really have more of it. So, yeah, so I appreciate you again.
Appreciate you, bro.
Coming. Thank you, Isaac. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, bro. Oi, oi.